Charles Williams, George MacDonald. I mean, there's just a lot of influences. Read a lot of the fantasy stuff. But I like science fiction because it just takes the edges of the box down. You're allowed to do whatever you want in science fiction. And so you're Asimov and all these guys, you know. But, so there's, you know, it's pretty eclectic.
Tolkien guy, he wrote a book for his nephew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you wrote it.
I wrote for my kids.
But why didn't you start with this like Mediterranean genre with elves and everything?
Oh, why didn't I?
Yeah.
Because I wanted somebody's real experience, you know? I'm not an elf. So,
but there are a lot of Tolkienists now.
Yeah, there's, you know, the book is wrapped in a different way. So it uses imagination, but it's done in such a way that the imagery is very possible. In fact, I have a lot of people who are angry when they find out it's fiction, which is surprising. I had 2 forensic detectives contact me independently looking for the case file.
To sue you?
When the book first came out.
To sue you?
Yeah, not to sue me, but to ask me about the case. They thought it was a real criminal case. And so they contacted me looking for, you know, where's the case file so that we can study this case? You know, I said, no, I made it up. You made it up? You know, how could you make it so accurate? You know, and so yeah, it has a very much. All the places are real. All the roads are real. Everything's very real, and it's wrapped inside.
Tolkien wrote this part 2, part 3, part 4, and what about you?
No sequel. I don't think the Shack could handle a sequel very well, because I like it being. I'm writing another fiction, but it's the same genre but different story, and I'm just not excited about a sequel for the Shack.
Maybe prequel.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Yeah.
You know, getting down to the plot.
Yeah.
There were 3 persons besides Papa,
Yeah.
right, who just assisted in finding the girl, that girl. And what's the personification of that girl? You know, everyone was looking for her.
Yeah.
And these 3 portrayed person of God.
Yes.
Help, you know, the main character to find that girl. So who else, you know, are participating except Papa in the quest for that girl? And what personifies this girl to the character, please?
Okay.
That body of the girl.
Yeah, yeah. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are all there. Jesus gets to play himself, you know, because although I don't know if you'll find this funny, but I do. I've had, I think, 5 emails now that said, "How dare you make Jesus a Middle Easterner?" You know, like, what? He is a Middle Easterner. He's a Jew, right? Jews are Middle Easterners. I don't know if you knew that, but you know. And so Jesus gets to play himself. Papa is a large black African American woman, and there's kind of something that Mackenzie still has to deal with by the end of the book, so I won't give you that away. But the Holy Spirit actually is an Asian woman, and I grew up in Asia, and even in Hebrew in the Old Testament, Ruach, which is the name for the Spirit, is feminine. Ruach is feminine, and in the New Testament, Pneuma is neuter, so it's never masculine. So it's always a feminine character. But, you know, it's men who wrote the translation, so it's always he. You know. So, but again, it doesn't mean that the Holy Spirit is actually female. It just means that God is neither male nor female, and that imagery is imagery. It doesn't define God. It helps us understand the nature and character of God. So, so those are the 3 main, because there's Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And the reason that that's important to me is because that's where I ground my theology. It has a great affinity with Eastern Orthodox. It really does. Much more than Western Reformed kinds of theological paradigm. To me, it's important that God, within God's very being, is relationship. And if you have 3 persons in the mystery of the Trinity, you have not just relationship, but other-centered love. And that, to me, is vital. Because if you only have God, in theology it's called monad, that is God who is alone, at the beginning, then you can't have a God who is a God who loves. It's not a possibility unless the creation becomes something that God needs as an object in order to love. That's a problem. Theologically, it's a problem. But within like Eastern Orthodox, which is, they used a word called perichoresis. Okay. And perichoresis means mutual interpenetration, as they tried to understand the nature of God as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And the picture was a dance of three equal persons who shared the same essence. And then you have the basis for other-centered love, and you have the basis for relationship, right from the beginning. And that means there's no greater reality to the character and nature of God than relationship. And that becomes vitally important to me. And so this is a book that is about relationship, not religion. And that's what has made some people angry, but a lot of people open to the conversation. There's one other character which is not a member of the Holy Trinity. It is Sophia, who's a Hispanic woman, who is right out of Proverbs chapter 8. And it's the wisdom of God. And Mackenzie has to face the wisdom of God at one point. And there's this, it's sort of the apex of the book. There's this big clash with the wisdom of God. And because the wisdom of God confronts Mackenzie about the fact that he plays the judge of God, and which we all do. So easy for us to judge God. And so that's where this big confrontation takes place. But those are the main characters. Yeah. I think we have time. One more?
1 minute.
Yeah. I got to take this one.
I'm sorry for my bad English, but if you had one phrase to tell us to live our lives better than our parents, better than our friends, in order not to feel ourselves alone and not to suffer from problems which are inside us. One phrase which you can tell us in order to live this life fully.
Boy, that's a good question.
One phrase, your vision.
Yeah.
1 minute.
I know. The one thing that I would say was you have to let someone in. You have to let someone in. We were not designed. If we were created out of this relationship of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, that means God has never been alone. And God has never done anything by himself. There's always been three. Huh? So we are made in the image of God. Therefore, we cannot do this alone. You have to let someone in. You are not designed to live this life an island to yourself. And so there has to be, but that requires trust, which requires letting go of control, which scares us, right? That's part of the process, because we don't want to trust anybody. We've been hurt through relationship. The crazy thing is it's going to be through relationship that we come to healing. And that's the difficulty, because that pushes us back to mystery and to loss of control. Both things which are essential to our healing. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
One more question, please. About the people in Papua, yeah?
In New Guinea?
Yeah.
Not Papua. Papua is the other side of the island.
Okay. What about their inside? What are they, like us or not?
Very much.
Yeah.
Just
Very
different.
much like?
Yeah, you can wrap. Human beings are human beings. No matter where I go, they all are dealing with the same stuff. You can wrap it in different culture, different kinds of clothes or no clothes. People I grew up with had no clothes. It was banya all the time. So, you know, but they're the same. They, you know, yes, their culture has dressed all their issues differently, but human beings are human beings. The need to be loved, the need for authenticity, the need for relationship, the integration of who I am as a human being, the need to be valuable, to be a part of something bigger than myself. All of these things are true for every human being, no matter where you find them. And that's why the book has done so well every culture that it has penetrated. And it's because people are people. Human beings are human beings. Some of the cultural stuff a little different and beautiful. I love culture, and I don't want to destroy culture. But beneath that, we are the same. Same aspirations.
Eating people.
Yeah. Well, again, that was ritualistic. You don't think people eat people in this culture? I've studied your communism.
Dear friends, unfortunately, Pan Taras, publisher of Ukrainian version, just told that Paul has to go. He has an important meeting, interview. So thank you very much for this conversation.
2 секунди.